Homelander's point of view. I woke up from dreaming about my wife Maeve only to see a waking nightmare. A beautiful naked woman was on top of me in the cowgirl position, and she was now riding my fully erect member, or morning wood as most guys called it, and I said, "What are you doing, ma'am? You don't have my permission to do this. I was sleeping, please stop." And I said, "Oh God, no." And then I heard this woman named Becca Butcher saying yes really loud, and I said, "Please stop, I'm happily married, please get off of me." And she said, "I'm sorry, but I'm very horny, I can't help it." And I said, "Stop please." And I didn't want to hurt this woman with my super strength even though I was upset, and then I came in her vagina and then I shoved her off of me using regular human strength, and I said, "Please leave and don't let my wife Maeve see you." And I decided to send her out of my room secretly somewhere else so Maeve didn't know about a woman pretty much forcing herself on me while I was sleeping. Unfortunately, there was a secret camera in my room that saw the whole thing. Little did I know Vought would use that to try to make me do terrible things that my father would never approve of. And then one day I got up enough courage to tell my wife about Becca Butcher. I told her that recently I saved a woman named Becca Butcher from some muggers, and I know she raped me while I was sleeping in my room. I let her stay in my apartment because I didn't know what to do with her after I saved her life, so I let her sleep in my apartment, and I was sleeping and she snuck in my room and had sex with me while I was sleeping, and I didn't do anything. I didn't want to hurt the woman with my strength because I was upset, so I secretly sent her home. I just needed to tell someone about it because I would never cheat on you, but this Becca Butcher is a Vought employee, and I can't help but wonder if she was sent by them to frame me or blackmail me or something. I swear to God I don't know what happened. I was very sleepy, so I went to bed dizzy and I couldn't wake up until it was too late. And Maeve said that, "Bitch, she roofied you with a date rape drug to keep you asleep." And I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know what was going on." And Maeve said, "It's fine baby, I know you sleep in the nude mostly because of me, so I don't blame you for anything. I don't believe you would cheat on me. I mean, after all, your father has been with the same two women for almost 100 years. Stan Edgar or someone like that must have planned all of this to make you more compliant." And then that day Maeve made love to me passionately and I kept apologizing repeatedly. I said, "I'm sorry, I'll try to make sure this never happens again." She said, "It's fine baby," and then I gave her the best oral pleasure I've ever given her, and she said, "Oh my God, yes baby." And then I always made love to her in every sexual position. There was other women before Maeve, but I knew I truly loved her more than anything. She's the mother of my son, so of course I loved her even if a woman I didn't know violated me while I was sleeping. And I fell asleep with Maeve in my arms while we were both naked, and I was now spooning her, and I said, "Oh my God, that felt so good." And Maeve said, "That felt great." And she said, "Even though you always give me great oral pleasure, that was really good. It feels like you're actually starting to enjoy it." And I said, "I do Maeve, what makes you think I don't?" And she said, "I don't know, I always assumed most guys don't like it." And I said, "Well, I'm not most guys Maeve, I'm different, and I'm not an ordinary man either. I might be different in every way, especially with a woman that's a lot like me, and I do enjoy it a little too much." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yes ma'am, really." And then I gave her oral pleasure again, and then Madeline Stillwell called me and Maeve and said, "There's been an incident downtown and you need to go down there and stop a hostage situation." And we saved the hostages and sent the criminals to prison without any casualties thanks to me and Maeve. And then the next day I had to use a lot of my strength to safely land a commercial airliner, and I broke my leg landing it safely, so I couldn't help Maeve and I felt helpless. And then that's when it happened. I healed myself with some kind of powers, and I said, "Could it be, do I have dad's powers or something like that?" And then Maeve came in and said, "Damn John, what the hell, you're supposed to be in bed healing and relaxing after sacrificing yourself like that." And I said, "Dad would have done the same thing. He taught me to never let innocent people die, even if it means my death." And then she said, "That's what I'm worried about. Your father sounds almost insane telling you something like that." And I said, "No, I respect what dad taught me and I understand, because to be a truly good man you must be willing to die to save innocent people sometimes." And she said, "Your leg is healed and you were just injured today, John, what happened?" And I said, "I used some kind of powers to heal my leg."